So I was randomly browsing Facebook, Meta, and I saw this post from the pro wrestling world basically saying that WWE made a huge mistake by not having Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Title at WrestleMania when he was at his hottest. And based on everything that's happened so far, there might just be some truth to it. Let's go talk about it. But real quick, if you wanna see your own WWE hot take featured, then put it in the comments down below and I'll pick the best ones to talk about in a future hot takes video. Now back to the main content. In order to get a better picture, we have to break down Cody's story after WrestleMania and try to determine whether or not he needed the title more than Roman Reigns. On the Raw after Mania, Brock Lesnar would inexplicably destroy Cody Rhodes out of nowhere before their tag team match against Roman and Solo. This would set off a feud between the two, with Cody challenging Brock to a match at Backlash where he would manage to steal a victory from the Beast Incarnate. Now there were a lot of intrigue and questions coming into this rivalry. Why did Brock Lesnar attack Cody Rhodes unprovoked? And is Cody still the chosen one to dethrone the tribal chief? Some people believe that this was meant to be part of the classic hero's journey Cody needed to embark on first before finally winning the big one at next year's WrestleMania. However, WWE is taking a massive risk with this hero's journey idea, which we'll get to why later on. But going back, things escalated further after Backlash as Brock would end up costing Cody a shot at the newly minted World Heavyweight Championship, and this time, he would make the challenge for Night of Champions. Rhodes would obviously accept the challenge, but the deranged Lesnar was so hell-bent in hurting his opponent that he would go as far as to kayfabe break Cody's arm in a fit of rage. Cody, being this defiant, never give up babyface that he is, would push through with the match, but he would inevitably lose to Brock, passing out of the pain from the Kimura lock applied on his quote-unquote injured arm. Admittedly, Brock being a monster heel again was a nice change of pace, since his final boss aura he had before has slowly been diminishing ever since losing to Roman at Mania. However, I feel like it was also at this point that the rivalry started to become repetitive, formulaic even. Brock would come out, him and Cody would brawl for a bit, Brock would disappear for a week or so, and Cody would cut passionate promos till he comes back, and then rinse and repeat. The cycle would pretty much go over and over like that till SummerSlam, the supposed third and final match in this rivalry. So in short, and I hate to say it, but Cody's story thus far has become quite stale thanks in large part to how his feud with Brock has been booked so far. Sure, he had a side quest with the whole Dominic Mysterio thing at Money in the Bank, but it was nothing more than a pointless filler match, one that neither helped Dominic nor made Cody look strong. In total, Cody Rhodes has had 9 televised matches after WrestleMania 39, 7 of those being singles matches. Comparing this to Roman Reigns, the tribal chief has had a whopping 3 televised matches since Mania, with his lone singles match and title defense being his most recent one with Jey Uso. To say that the Undisputed Universal Title would have been used more with Cody Rhodes as the champ would be an understatement. But then the question shifts to, would Roman not having the title greatly affect how the Bloodline story plays out? Well, yes and no. Yes, we would have missed that awesome moment of Roman getting pinned clean at Money in the Bank for the very first time in 3 years, since Cody would have done it first. And obviously Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso at SummerSlam would not be for the title anymore. Not to mention that the tribal chief wouldn't have reached the 1000 day milestone as champion as well. But other than those, the Bloodline story would have pretty much stayed the same course beat for beat. Obviously, having the title was absolutely necessary at first for Roman to stay on top as the head of the table. But lately, he seems to be more interested in playing tag team with his cousin that the Undisputed Universal title has only been defended once since WrestleMania. Almost a quarter of a year, just let that sink in for a second. As a result, the title has become way less relevant to the story and is treated as more of an accessory than a prize these days. I mean, Paul Heyman would know. Over time, the Bloodline story has also shifted its focus from keeping the faction on top to the infighting amongst the family, aka the Bloodline Civil War. In fact, you could argue that the match between Roman and Jey at SummerSlam is such a personal blood feud, it didn't even need to be for the title, since they already did that 3 years ago. Someone who does need it though is Cody Rhodes. His current feud with Brock should have been a home run from start to finish, but somehow, the feud still lacks any good reason to exist in the first place. Almost 4 months into it and we still haven't gotten any definitive answer as to why Lesnar is targeting Rhodes. Did he steal his lunch money or something? The closest we ever got to an explanation is Wade Barrett on commentary briefly mentioning that Brock is jealous that Cody was in the main event instead of him, which honestly sounds quite pathetic if you ask me. What this feud desperately needed was some stakes. No, not that kind, this kind of stakes. Just imagine if Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes was for the Undisputed Universal Championship. Their trilogy of matches would have been so much more epic, and it would have actually explained why Brock is going after Cody, since the Beast Incarnate has always been more of a prize fighter first above anything. As I mentioned earlier, doing the hero's journey has a major risk involved to it in that it sometimes misses the point in striking while the iron is hottest. Getting over with the fans is one of, if not the hardest thing to do in pro wrestling, but it's also the most important. And so, when a talent is over, like Cody Rhodes, management should try and capitalize on it as much as they could because no one knows if the talent will still be over the next year, or the next month, heck, even the next day. Cody was arguably at his peak popularity after coming back from a nasty pec injury and winning the Royal Rumble. So, it would have been on WWE's best interest to put the title on him or risk Cody losing momentum. Hence, the idea of striking while the iron is hottest. But they didn't, so now we have reached a crossroads. So now I want to throw the question to you. Do you think they should have pulled the trigger on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? Or was keeping the title on Roman Reigns still the right move? Let me know in the comments down below. WWE can sometimes be stuck into the idea that delayed gratification is always better. And while it can be good when executed correctly, like with Kofi Kingston's Kofi Mania story, sometimes it can also backfire like with Braun Strowman failing his Money in the Bank cash-in. And now, WWE seems to be making the same mistake with LA Knight, as you'll see why in the video in your screen.